We're up.
Okay, we're on. All right, well, welcome, fellow Trailblazers, to the coveted 5:30 session. That's right. So you've got Mark and I standing between you and a beer or a glass of wine, or if you're from Texas like me, a margarita, I suppose.
We got the best slot, so we're glad you guys are here to party with us at the end of the day.
That's right.
We'll try to entertain you as much as possible.
But at least we have some interesting things to talk about here. I hope the Watson and Einstein session topic grabbed your attention, or as Salesforce refers to it, the Einstein and Watson session, right? But we have some interesting things, I think, to talk about. Most people know that roughly a year ago, IBM and Salesforce signed a very public partnership. Mark and I work in the Watson team, and we work almost every day with our Salesforce friends, uncovering use cases where we can integrate our capabilities together and bring new and interesting insights to clients. Almost every day, wouldn't you say?
That is our everyday life. Watson embed in strategic partnerships. That is what we do, and Salesforce is one of our major partners we work with. We live and breathe it.
That's right.
We live and breathe it.
And because we work in this space, we get some really interesting questions. In fact, some pretty crazy questions. What is Einstein? What is Watson?
Does Watson power Einstein? We get all different variations of these questions.
Is Salesforce going to acquire IBM? Right?
That's another one, yeah.
So what we want to do today is demystify this a little bit and bring some clarity to how we're bringing these two market-leading AI platforms together to really bring some interesting insights to clients. So Mark Name here is our chief architect in the With Watson organization, and he's going to take you through some of these use cases. Mark?
All right, let's go from there. So the first thing I want to talk about, one of the big things we did with our partnership is the Watson Salesforce SDK. This asset for most of you are developers or maybe admins. You'll understand the SDK is critical to development. We have gone ahead and made this extremely easy for any Salesforce developer to integrate Watson into their Salesforce application. So if you're coding in Apex, we've provided everything for you. All the classes, functional tests, end-to-end tests, examples. We give you labs. We parse the responses into objects. We make things extremely, extremely easy. You could see up there, Mark Benioff tweeted it when we first released this back in November. Currently, we support all 10 Watson services that are API accessible. So if you haven't checked it out already, make sure to check out the SDK, free, of course, on GitHub if you're integrating Watson into your Salesforce apps. So want to dive right into it. That popular question that we got, which is, how do Watson and Einstein work together? Is there overlap? What do they do? What I'm going to talk about is some use cases that we have and some that we've done and we have working. Sort of reality check, right, of Watson and Einstein. So there's this awesome use case we have called Next Best Action. And this is a use case we have in Service Cloud. So what this is typical flow in Service Cloud. Agent comes in, looks at their queue. They have a bunch of cases. They open the case. They have to read through the case, understand what the case is about, what they need to do, go resolve the case, reply to the customer, etc. We've expedited all that. We've automated all of that. And we, IBM, have built a solution called Next Best Action to solve this. And what we essentially do is, as a case is submitted, we automatically analyze the case, understand what the case is about, determine if there's enough information in the case that we need, and tell the agent what the next best action is. So it's pretty cool stuff. Use various pieces of the Watson APIs, different services to get it done. We work with Einstein in the sense that Einstein is now creating a flow, a framework, and we're going to go ahead and take our solution and plug into that Einstein framework that's still not actually out yet.
And what did we use to build this thing? Of course.
Watson Salesforce SDK, none other. We leveraged it. Very easy, quick time to development using that SDK. So here's just kind of a screenshot of what this looks like. So as the case comes in, the top right-hand side, you see an anger alert. We use our Watson Tone Analyzer service to understand, is this customer angry, happy, sad, frustrated? Right off the bat, we're able to understand that. Agent can see that, and we can take an action. We may route this to an escalation department. We may have a flag to call this customer. This may be prioritized higher in my queue. With Watson, we're able to automatically detect that and take action. Underneath that, you see open activities. You see something called add policy. We know right away this is the intent of this case is the customer is asking to add somebody to their existing policy. So, for example, this is an insurance use case. And next best action, Watson is powering and telling you exactly what needs to be done without having to go through all the details. Below that, you see a response to the customer saying, "Hi, Mr. Customer, understand you've been frustrated," right? We're gearing our tone based on their tone, right? Understand you've been frustrated. Sorry about that. We have gone ahead and added this person you've specified to your policy. Let us know if you need anything else. Again, automation. It's helping the agent work faster and quicker. Next use case I want to talk about is how Watson and Einstein work together using Einstein Bots. So Einstein Bot, chatbot, something fairly new. It's a conversational solution they announced at Dreamforce. One of the most popular ways to use Einstein Bots. Einstein can answer all the questions about CRM-related data, customers, etc. We're using our Watson Discovery service to augment that. So all the data outside of CRM. We're talking knowledge articles, we're talking car manuals, employee manuals, whatever it may be. We would have all those ingested into Discovery. When we ask a question to Einstein, if Einstein doesn't know the answer, it uses Discovery to augment that to answer the question. Another use case, you can front-end your chatbot with our Watson Tone Analyzer service. So as Einstein Bot is getting in responses from customers, Tone Analyzer will detect their tone. If they're upset, it will change. It can change the way that the bot would respond to the customer. If they're happy, super, excited, we can be a little bit more excited in our response. It's a great way to augment the experience of when a customer is interacting with a chatbot. And finally, speech to text, right? Omnichannel. One of our customers is going to be here tomorrow talking about how they use our Watson speech to text to augment an app they built for Salesforce. Can do the same thing, right, with Einstein Chatbot. If someone's on their phone or whatever, you can use Watson speech to text to speak to what you're looking to do. So these are just some of the popular ways and patterns to use Watson with Einstein, in this case, Einstein Chatbot.
And of course, use the SDK to build it. So all of our Watson APIs are included in the SDK. If you're a developer, we've got you covered.
Absolutely. Another use case we have implemented is called lead generation. This is focused on Sales Cloud. So what this does is, on the Watson side, we use Discovery News to generate potential leads in the market. What's going on in today's news? What companies are opening up? What mergers are happening? What opportunities are there? Using Watson Discovery, we take those leads and enter them into Salesforce, and then using Einstein lean scoring, prioritizes those leads. Which ones are the hotter, most probable leads that we could capitalize on? Einstein handles that piece of it. Sort of a classic great opportunity, again, to use the power of both Einstein and Watson together.
And guess what?
If you guys aren't seeing the pattern, this pattern here, Watson SDK. All right, and just another use case wanted to mention with Einstein and Discovery, Watson Discovery in this case, a great use case. We call this voice of the customer, or voice of the customer pattern. We actually have a business solution in IBM based around this pattern, very popular pattern. Think you're a brand manager. You want to know more about what's going on with your product. How are they selling? What are my customers saying? Using this voice of the customer pattern, you're able to do that. You use and leverage Watson Discovery to understand trends, insights, anomalies based on data from everywhere outside of CRM. So this is not just, you can use CRM data, cloud case data as input as well. Customer views, surveys, social media. You can scrub Twitter, data, news data, forums, any data that's out there that you have. You just ingest that into Discovery. Discovery will highlight patterns. On the Einstein side, you could use services like Einstein Vision to detect in those social media posts. When you scrub that, take those images, because the Discovery service doesn't look at images, but Einstein Vision does. You can look at those images and understand more about what are in those objects. When people are happy and promoting a product, what's in that image? If they're complaining about a product, what sneaker model is it? What shampoo bottle are they holding in their hand? What color are those objects? These are types of things you can use Einstein with for this pattern. So very, very cool one there. You can augment this as well using a custom machine learning model using our Watson Knowledge Studio as well. So if there's really, really specific domain terms you have, products and such, you can use our Knowledge Studio tool, which allows you to do machine learning with custom annotations. Very, very powerful. Speech to text, if you have audio files you want analyzed, right, regardless of what business you're in, you have recorded calls, you have interviews, you have people giving feedback on YouTube. You can use our speech-to-text service to transcribe that to text, ingest that into Discovery, and then feed that all into Einstein. And finally, again, Tone Analyzer, great place to monitor what is the sentiment and tone of your customer. What are they happy about? What are they sad about? And what is the cause of that? If everyone's complaining about, for example, my phone, I'm unhappy with it, it's not working well. Okay, that lets you know what their problem is, but it doesn't let you know the root cause. You can unlock things like, oh, the battery life is poor. The screen is cracking because it's very brittle. That's the type of value you can get with Watson, incorporating it with Einstein. Slade?
Of course, yeah. Hey, did we mention that the SDK is free on GitHub? Did we mention that yet? By the way, if you want to get hands-on with it, we've got a lab right over here where you can see how the SDK is deployed into the Salesforce environment. It's really easy, and it literally changes 100 lines of code into about 2 lines of code if you want to call one of our Watson APIs from your Apex code.
Yeah, it's more like thousands of lines of code to 5 or so.
Okay.
Well, somewhere around there.
That's pretty strong.
1 line is good. You get the point. We'll show you a little demo as well. So just a couple things. I want to show you a quick demo of the SDK in action. Some of our latest offerings on the Watson platform. We've got our Watson machine learning service. If you go out on IBM Cloud, you will see these tiles in the Watson section. So the Watson machine learning service allows you to develop custom machine learning models to look at trends in the past and predict trends in the future. You are allowed to use frameworks that you're familiar with. So we provide you some. You can also use TensorFlow or Keras or what have you, whatever's out there you're used to. We support all the major frameworks. You would deploy that custom machine learning model in our deep learning as a service. So we have a new offering called Watson Studio that was just unveiled at our IBM Think conference last week. Watson Studio provides you an end-to-end framework in working with custom machine learning. It provides you an area to deploy your model, to tune and tweak your model, to make suggestions, gives you tools to better your model, and deploying it there running, that's what we mean by deep learning as a service. You can access these via API as well when they're running. Watson Studio also incorporates our Watson Knowledge Catalog offering, which allows you to manage and govern your data, look at and visualize your data in various different ways. So if you haven't checked that out, have a look at that. We're currently in process right now of figuring out the best way to incorporate and leverage this along with Einstein, right, Slade?
Yeah, exactly. And so while we do this with our Salesforce friends, uncovering these use cases, the reason we want to expose it here to the developers is to really open it up to your imaginations and all the things that you can come up with, unleash some really cool use cases to integrate this with Salesforce.
Absolutely. All right, so what I'm going to do now is just show, we've been talking about this SDK the whole time. I want to go ahead and just pop this open here so everyone can have a look. So for those of you who are developers, this will look somewhat familiar. Right here I have the developer console. Let me expand that a little bit so everybody can see a little bit better. And I am in the Salesforce, I said Watson, Salesforce developer console right now. So Watson's just on my mind. And what I have here is, this is our SDK. This is an API called using our SDK to send a message to our Watson Assistant service. Watson Assistant, formerly known as Watson Conversation. So that is our conversational solution in Watson. And what I have here is the SDK. So what I have here is setting up and initializing the connection with our assistant. I've set name credentials, so I don't have to pass any parameters for username or password. I've already set that up in name credentials in Salesforce. What I have here is our creating an input object, so an instance of the input data object. We have this builder pattern. You will see this across all our services. Everything is designed the same way, which provides consistency across all services within any of our SDKs. And what this input builder does essentially is manages the text input. So when you're writing an application, it would be passing those messages back and forth in the conversation. So in this case, I'm just initiating a conversation saying hello to my conversation workspace. And then I have my options builder pattern over here. So I'm creating this options instance of my message options class. And what this essentially does is manages what workspace I'm accessing. So you see my workspace ID up here, and what the input is that you're providing. There are some additional parameters. The good thing about the SDK, again, we provide end-to-end examples, and we provide every possibility of every parameter that is you can pass through, what the value is, and give you more information there. And then finally here I have my response. So this is the message response object that we have. It, again, shields and makes it easy for you to retrieve the response. It takes the handling and managing, parsing that raw JSON into an object format to make it consumable. Easy work for a developer. And then over here, I'm basically just making that call. I'm taking that response object, I'm getting the text of all the responses, and I'm actually just returning, of course, the top answer in that array of responses. Could you get multiple responses based on the intent? We, of course, want to go with the most confident one, which is the top one by default. And then here I'm simply just printing out to my console what the reply is. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a run. Remember, I'm saying hello. I'm just going to execute this. It is loading. Go to my debug statements, and there it is right there. So I initiated a conversation with my Watson workspace, said hello, it says hi, it looks like a nice drive today, what would you like me to do? That is my expected response. One last example I will show you how easy this is if you look at the test classes that we provide, we show you all possibilities and parameters that you can provide and things you can retrieve in your response. In this case, let's say for me as a developer, it's important to know what the confidence was on my response. And I may want to handle in my application, look, if the response isn't at least 70% confident or so, I don't want to return that response. So in my case here, I simply just added confidence, returning the confidence parameter, and pasting that to my console. 2 lines of code, 2 additional lines. This is a total what? 1 line, 2 line, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines of code for my first piece of the demo here, and then an additional 2 lines. So I'm going to write this. What I expect to see back now is the response from Watson and the confidence threshold, which could be anywhere from 0 to 1 based on the confidence. And right here, as you can see, well, you know, as luck would have it, the dream has happened. I got 100% confidence 1.0 on this one.
That happens all the time, right?
Do not expect that every single time. You'll see, you know, point something usually. So that is the SDK in a nutshell we've been talking about. Again, we've got them for 10 Watson services that are API accessible on the IBM cloud. So if you have not checked this out and you are developing and trying to integrate Watson, make sure you check out the SDK on GitHub. We've got some labs over there. We've got labs on GitHub as well. We've got YouTube videos to walk you guys through deploying, setting it up. Everything's fully documented. You'll see some blogs that me and my colleagues have written about it. So trying to give you guys as much information as possible. And also for the non-development audience, we have talking to the business value. So we understand stakeholders, right, may need to be justified why you want to use new tools or tool sets. We have a blog that speaks to that as well. All right, so that is that. Slade, I think we did pretty good. I mean, we've got about 1.5 minutes here to go.
Yeah, that's right. So open it up for any questions anybody has about Watson, Einstein, or how to integrate them together.
So we hope this helped clarify a lot of the air about how do Watson and Einstein work together. That's the most popular question we get. What's the crossover? How do they work together? What's AI, what's not, where's the crossover? We hope this helped clarify some of the air for you guys from that perspective. So we'll be hanging out here for a little while. If no one has any questions, I guess we can wrap.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.